Hey, and welcome to today's Monday Love Bomb. We're so happy to have you here. And we're a bit distracted right now because we have big plans.
We have a family expansion.
Yes, it's so amazing. It's so strange. With us, everything always happens so fast. I don't know why this is, but just last week, we started looking into other dogs because we already have one street dog that we've adopted, or actually I have adopted earlier in my life before I met Boss. And now we actually were thinking about maybe it would be nice to have a dog together, right? And we started looking into it on Friday, I guess.
Yeah.
On Saturday, on Friday we found one that would be perfect. On Saturday, we already decided to have him, and now we got the information that probably in 1.5 weeks he will already be here. It's too much, too fast. But actually, in the end, it's all perfect because when you make a decision, things will just come in. And this is how it works, right? When we're calling something in, we're having a clear desire for something. This is when magic starts to happen. Yeah. Hi, Julia.
Hi.
Yes, the Romanian doggy.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I want to add that, since Priska and I are together, we actually do a lot of manifesting, not very consciously, but really when we really tune into what we actually want and really tune into the feelings we would have if we would have the thing that we desire already, then 9 out of 10 times it happens. It happens. Crazy.
Yeah, we're quite good in manifesting and aligning and getting what we want. It's the same with this business and having this beautiful group. So, and Julia's writing, yay, more doggy hair. Yes, more love at home. Yeah, we already thought, oh my goodness, we already have such a hairy doglet here. We have the wolflet now. Now the fox is coming. The redhead, even bigger with even more hair. So we're prepared. I'm not sure if we're mentally prepared, but
yes, we are. We are.
It's going to take something. At least it's first winter, so they're not going to lose it for now. That's good sign. Okay.
So today we are going to talk about what happens or what to do if you are dating someone who turns out to be a parent.
Yeah, exactly. Because actually, Willy from our group, she asked that question. And I think it's a very important question and something that can come across very early, especially when you're maybe like me, over 30, and you're still looking for love. Chances may be that your future partner already had a life before, and maybe also already has had a family and even kids. So what to do? I think I have to talk because...
Well, I can also say at one point what it did to me and everything I went through, but I think you have to roll the story out.
I have to roll the story out, it's true. Because, of course, I was in your situation. I was exactly the woman falling in love with the guy. As you know, he was still married back then, and it was very obvious that he had 2 kids. I knew that from the start, even before I even thought about dating him or in some kind of romantic ways. And to be honest, I have never even really thought about it because I didn't want to be with him anyways, because as you know, he was married. I didn't want to, there was just no thought about it. And when we had these strong feelings for each other, it was actually the last thing that I thought about because it was just, this love was so big in the picture. And when I then decided to go to the Netherlands, it was also of course I knew it was there, and because I love kids, I'm also actually a teacher. Originally, before I became an actress, I became a preschool teacher and a school teacher. So I love kids. So there was no problem for me that he had kids, but I was actually never really thinking what it meant to become a stepmom.
And this you cannot think of that beforehand because you can make pictures. But they are never as realistic as it is in real life. So you will always, and Priska's going to tell you about that, you will always be surprised, and also much feelings will rise up, and it will not be always the romantic picture that you might have drawn in your little girl's sketchbook.
No, I think first and foremost, when you're deciding to embark on this whole dating a guy or a gal who is a mother or a father, or then really going all in and really becoming the stepmom, it really takes a brave heart. And I'm really bowing before each and every one of you who is really embarking on that journey. But first, when we're just talking about the dating process, of course, we didn't have that whole dating process, as you know. There's we never had it, because we were just like, okay, all in, bam, and then yeah, it all happened like the other way around somehow. But like when you are dating a person who is also a parent, this can also be a very beautiful thing, because this person is certainly not going to play games with you, especially when you're so far that he or she wants to introduce them to their kids. I think they really are very serious about really making this work. And of course, it can be a big intensifier of everything, but it's also like it can really give you also this place of, or this feeling of safety and of like of realness that you might not always have with people who are not bound at all and have all the freedom in the world, and you know, have also the time and the, I don't know, the space to play games. Call it like that. Not that every person dating is playing games, but there are people out there playing.
I think
games.
there are people who are already have been in a very committed relationship with kids. Then you also are more bound to commit wholeheartedly to a possible new relationship.
Absolutely.
So I dare to say that people with kids in the dating game might be a little bit more serious, actually, than people who don't. And I'm not saying that people without kids are just playing around, are like boys or girls and are never able to commit. But there is some sort of a
difference.
A difference.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also because probably they don't want their kids to see a constant change in their partners. They really want to have some stable environment for their kids. So it really is something beautiful. And also, especially, I don't know, maybe you have the wish for having kids and maybe not. Like, but then it's also some like, it's like, how can I say that? Like being a stepmom is really a very special position, because you're not responsible for the kids and still you're very involved, probably, in the whole family situation. But this also doesn't have to be like in every case to be the case. Oh my God, my English today. But you know what I mean? Am I clear? Yeah. It's just very, because it can be that your partner is only seeing their kids like every month, one weekend. Or it can be that he sees them bi-weekly, or it can be like in our case that like it happens that yeah,
every other week.
Yeah. And I remember this moment. It was a bit embarrassing because, you know, I grew up in Switzerland, and in Switzerland, I don't know, especially in my environment, I've never heard of shared custody in sense of that the co-parenting, that like the kids are spending equally much time with the dad and the mom. Because in Switzerland, to be honest, in my environment, like all the mothers were living with the kids and the kids were seeing their dads maybe every second weekend. And in my world, I just assumed that this will happen here as well, especially as boss's ex-wife was staying at home and he was working 5 times a week, 5 days a week. So I somehow just thought, oh, this is how it's going to be. And I remember when he texted me like, oh, we have now found out how we're going to do it, and the kids are going to stay like a week 50-50. And I remember this moment, but my heart stopped for a moment. I realized, oh my God, I will be so much involved in their lives. I will be like some kind of a mother figure, you know? And of course, I didn't say anything because I was very clear that I wanted to be with Bas, but I also was very naive because we never really had the talk before I moved in here, how I should set boundaries, what are my tasks, what are not my tasks, what do I need, what does he need, what do the kids need, you know? We didn't have that conversation, and I really tell you, it's so crucial to really talk beforehand about these things, especially when you're having a business and you're already occupied with a lot of things. It's so important that you are very clear what you want to do in this new
system,
this new system, and what you don't want to do, because it's not your task. And I was just so naive. I just jumped in whole bodily, heartily, whatever. I just jumped fully in. I mean, like, he was working 5 days and I was just looking for the kids. I biked them to school, picked them up, cooked for them, made their lunch boxes, and and I tried to somehow fit my business next to it. You know, I made it a priority, and it was almost like in the beginning, it was so hard. I was so hard because I also didn't know where to say no, and because I just wanted to do it right. You know, I wanted to be the good girl.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And no, it's okay. And what Priska said, the importance of having a very, 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 very good and deep talk about this is so big, because we have had major fights about it, because we didn't have this conversation. Priska felt that everything was put on her shoulders, and that she chose for me. But actually, when you choose for a guy, you don't choose for being the housekeeper or being the spare time mom. Or so if you don't really go into detail about that, then you are bound to have arguments, and you are bound to have both or maybe one of the two involved that doesn't feel right in his or her new role, because everybody gets a new role. Also in my case, me, because like the kids and my ex and we had a system already, and this doesn't mean automatically that this system I can put out and I how do you say it?
Just put it over.
Put it over in our new. This doesn't work because there are different children. There's different energy. There are children who might be hurt. There are people who might not be feel seen. So you really have to go into that, and you really have to make. And this may sound maybe a bit crazy, but you really have to sit down and take a piece of paper and really write down stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, what does it mean for you to be a stepmom? Which tasks do you want to do and which not? How can we make sure that it doesn't interfere with your business or with our business? These are so important objects.
Conversations that you need to have.
Yeah.
Exactly, because we really didn't have them, and I really felt my frustration, and I really was also. I really was frustrated. That's the right word. I really felt frustrated at one point, until we really had the discussion, a bit late, but we had it. And we really talked about these things. And there were things, I really wanted to be, a stepmom, and I really wanted to be a clear and active part in their lives, and really be fully engaged. This is what I chose for. This doesn't have to mean that you have to choose for the same things. But I chose for that, but there were other things where I just needed support from boss, and he was just so used from his old system that things are being taken care of, that we just like moved into that. And I was just so used to see my mother constantly taking over the household, even though I mean, like, I'm a modern woman, I know that men help in households. Still, I just took everything over, and it really took me a while to actually see these patterns and also realize where my frustration was coming from. Yep. So this is really an important thing.
Yeah, and also what Willie said, that she once dated someone and he turned out to have kids, and it was very hard for her because she actually wants to feel like his number one. And I totally understand it, because when you fall in love, most of the time there are no kids involved, and then you can just do whatever you want. You can go to the movies, you can go have candlelight dinners on the beach, you can really travel, you can do whatever you want to. But when they're kids, and especially when they are a significant amount of time in your presence, then there are lots of situations where you not feel like the number one. And this can hurt. And this can make you angry, and I totally understand it. And therefore, it is so important to create these moments where you can feel as a woman his number one or her number one. Because otherwise, it immediately turns from falling in love into this, like some sort of a household level. And you really need to create these romantic moments where you feel seen, where you feel nurtured and loved and special, and also if your kids, or if the kids are a certain age, you can also make like some sort of an agreement. Okay, now you have to create time for yourself, like go watch a movie, or here's your tablet and your phone, and do stuff that you want to do for 1 or 2 hours. And then Daddy and Priska are going to do fill in the dots.
Yeah. Yeah, I really think this is a really big point that you need to be prepared for. If you're embarking on the like stepmom journey, or just dating a guy or gal who is a parent, you can be on the same level as the number one. But when shit hits the fan, you just need to know the parent will be there for their kids, and this is just how it is. And you have to be able to deal with that, to just step back and to really give space to that, and to really, because in the end it's really important that the kids feel safe. When the kids don't feel safe, then the whole dynamic will just stir up, and this will not work out. So it's in the beginning, it can be very, I really felt like it's constantly about the kids. This is really what I felt, and it also was, but it's also because it helped in the end our whole relationship to put them first, because when they're safe and good, I feel so much better in this relationship as well. I felt like it was just a whole different kind of basics that we were building on. Yeah. So I think it's just important that you know that. And now we have talked so much about so many things that are heavy or a bit difficult, but there are also such amazing parts of that, because it's so beautiful already to have this family. I just have been gifted a family, and especially as we cannot have kids, Bas and I, due to his earlier cancer treatments. It's just so beautiful that I still get to be some kind of a mom figure for these two kids and to be in their lives. Yeah. And it's also very special. I mean, of course, you cannot expect the kids to love you immediately, and you can also not expect from you to love these kids immediately. This is also a mistake that is just done many times, because we think, oh, it's my partner's kids, I have to love them. And this is not the same as if you're the mom, because when you're a parent, you really, you carry these babies within your body, you're giving birth to them, you're having this unconditional love that is just there when you're the parent. And when you're not the parent, this is just not there. Yep. And this has to be built up. But this building up of this relationship can be such a beautiful thing. And I really feel so blessed and honored to be in the lives of his kids. And it's really beautiful what can just grow from this, because it's also a choice. Loving the stepmom or the stepmom loving their kids is a choice, while loving their parents, it's just a given.
Yeah. And like, my kids really adore Priska, and like, for stepmom, she really had a very easy time with the kids, because actually from day one they really embraced her wholeheartedly. And there are evenings that my son, he's 11 years old, asks Priska to lie with him in the bed, and that she reads him stories. And my daughter really adores Priska. I really think she sees some sort of a role model in her. And this is just beautiful to witness and beautiful to be a part of. And of course, in this video, we have been talking now when you are already further, when you, for example, start living together. But when you start dating a person who says that he or she has kids, then you really have to be clear in your needs, your desires, your expectations, your wants, without being too demanding, of course, because it needs to be like a two-way direction. But you really have to be clear, and you really have to claim your special together time.
Yeah. And I think it's also important that you just know that if you're following that path, that this is what can happen, because it will happen eventually. You will be, you will be part of these kids' lives. And I see it's only 6%. I should have plugged it in.
Well, I can take
No, it's okay. It's okay. Hi, Billy. So we're talking already for, 20 minutes about this topic of yours. Just one thing I really also want to mention, and I don't want to put too much emphasis on it, but it's something I have never took into calculation, because of course I still had 1.5 years to prepare myself mentally into this whole stepmom journey before I moved in with them. But just know that there's an ex-partner in the picture as well. And this person has needs and wants as well. And you have to deal with that person whether you want it or not, and whether you have a good relationship or not. It's just something that you need to have in mind. And also that your partner will be always bound in a certain way to this ex-partner for a whole life. Yep. And if you cannot deal with that thought even, it might become a bit difficult.
Yeah, because she will pop up in moments where you think, what? Why now?
No!
Like, for example, my son, of course, has a whole frame with pictures in his bedroom, and Mama is there too.
Of course.
So every time you as a step-parent bring the kids to bed, you see her in the room. But also in the beginning, there was still stuff from her standing in this house. So you really get confronted with the former system, and the system that has been, and this can be quite threatening for the new one, actually. So you really have to take that into account, that this happens, and it will pop up, and it will go for your throat, and other times you can breathe into it and really like this wavy thing of getting more adjusted, finding your place in the new system, becoming especially with us, because we actually are living in a house where I used to live with the old system. So for Priska, it also has been quite a struggle to find her place as the new woman next to me in this
house.
Environment.
I can make another whole video about that one. So, but I think this is what we wanted to say. If there are any questions, because of course we can talk about this forever. Really, it's like it has been such a big topic in my life for the last 2.5 years, and it was a real journey. And I think only since a few months, actually, I can really say we have found our groove all together, and it really took some time. So I can talk about this forever, and we can also talk about that more. But I think, Willy, we answered your question quite in the beginning, and I think you have an idea. But if there are some more things that you would like to know, please just share. We're so gladly here to answer everything that you'd like to know. You can comment under this post, or you can email, of course. And maybe if you have a specific question right now at this moment, you can still ask it. So we will wait. Ooh. Oh my goodness.
Something's happening. What if you are never number one compared to the kids? Yeah, we already talked a bit about that before you entered. This is a very difficult one but I personally believe that if you never can feel like the number one, or he gives you the feeling that you are the number one, then there is something a bit off in the relationship or in his commitment to you. Because I believe in the whole turmoil of blended families and kids, he or you together have to schedule time for you, where you can feel special, where you can feel seen, where you can feel nurtured and loved and abundantly. Yeah. And you have to accept that when shit hits the fan, he's there or she's there for the kids, because this is just how it is. Let's face it. Like, if you imagine that you would have a child, if this child is in need, you just go there, because I mean, like, he knows I can take care of myself, but the kids can't, right? And they really need also to grow up in a safe environment, and you need to you need to be able to deal with that. And this might not always be easy. I get that. I really get that. And I also sometimes felt like, oh, it's always about the kids, but it's not true, because it's not always about the kids. There needs to be time for the two of us, or for the two of you. And it's also crucial to really find that time and to really like create this safe space where the relationship can be the number one. And I also think when you're living together, especially, then it's important to prioritize actually your relationship, because it also shows the kids that you're a team and that you're working together. And when you're happy in the relationship, this also colors off on the kids. Yeah, true. There's a question from you. Shall I get that? Yes, I'm getting it. Julia writes, I would actually like to hear more about moving in where a former partner lived. This is not easy. Because, and especially when Priska came in, because I was like already some sort in a pre-burnout. So I was not, sorry for the distraction. I was not feeling at my best. And there was lots of stuff still from her. Plus all the furniture was still here. The walls were painted in the same color. It was actually her house, and I didn't have the strength to make everything different before she came. The bedroom I changed,
Yeah, because
I make sure there was a new bed, a new mattress,
Yes.
that I decorated it completely differently, because this was the place where we were going to be intimate. So this was very important to change. But for the rest, it's difficult. And like, I think a half year after Priska moved in, we started to redecorate, do things away, do it differently. I hung up a name tag at the front door with our names, which for me was very difficult, because my ex, every other Sunday, she comes and bring the kids for the new week, actually.
Yeah, and it also took us 1.5 years actually to hang it up.
Yeah, because for me this was really, really, really difficult to, because I thought, yeah, this must be so painful for her already to see another new system in her old house. And then she comes here and brings the kids, and she sees this plaquette with new names. So I really had to overcome certain things to being able to hang that silly thing up.
Yeah, and I think this was for me personally the hardest part, because of course I understood that there was so much pain for her happening, and at the same time it made me feel like I should be invisible, because I actually should not be here. And this was, again, this could be, I can tell you so much about what happened within me during this whole process of kind of trying to hide myself and still taking my space. And it was a very difficult and complicated time. So I really suggest, if you somehow have the possibility not to repeat our mistakes, to really make sure that you really talk to your partner, say, okay, when I move in with you, that this house is prepared, or that you together already pre-prepared before you actually move in. Because I literally still had to put some clothes out of her and put mine in. It was so ridiculously painful also for me, and clean out stuff that was just lying there since 12 years. And this was really, really, really hard. And I would never do that again, ever again. So I really suggest you guys, if you move in with your new partner and he had an old life within that house, make sure that before you really cut the cords with your old apartment, that this one is set up. And because we also had, it's also very special, because I also was living just in one room, and I was so fed up with living in that room, and I really want to have a whole house again and not share my toilet with other 3 guys. It was just like, I really was so done with living in just like my little tiny freezing room where I had to like literally live in my bed because it was so fucking cold there.
Yeah.
But I guess with you, it will not be the case. Probably you're living in the same country, maybe even in the same town. So you have time.
Take that time. It's really important. And Willie, what do you do if the kids don't like you, or the other way around, when they see you as the evil stepmom? Well, this, like in lots of, we really were lucky, and in lots of cases this happens. And I think there's a big role for the parent involved to be some sort of a impartial mediator, because everyone needs a voice. The kids need a voice. You as a new one, or the stepmom, needs a voice, and he needs a voice as well. And I think the role of the father, or the parent actually, is to be some sort of a mediator. And what also helps very much is if you as the stepmom spend time with the kids apart. So sometimes, if possible. So let's say there are 2 kids. As a stepmom, one Saturday you take one kid to the town and you go and do nice stuff, or I don't know, to the beach.
But I have to say, sorry, because I think this only works when the kids really want to do that.
Of course.
Because if the kids don't like you, just don't try to pressurize it. Just let them take their time to really process what they have to process. But I think it's very important that the parent takes a very clear stand that he wants to be with you now, and that this is no discussion. That they don't have any chance to separate you, or that the parent stands behind the child and talks badly against you. This really should be a no-go. Even if you make a mistake as a stepmom, which you will make tons of mistakes, make sure that your partner, like, have this conversation beforehand, that he or she is really backing you up. Even if they then take you aside and tell you, okay, listen, next time this was not so handy, maybe we can do this better together, you know. But it needs to be very clear for the kids that you are a team, and that there's no way for them to mingle with that.
And it's also very important to realize, as the step parent, the position where the biological parent is in, because lots of times you feel like you are between two enemies, actually, if you are in this situation. And it's not an easy place to be. And I'm not saying that it's worse than being the stepmom or worse than being the kids who are still sad about the separation, but every role is a very, very difficult one. And if you can have compassion for the role of the parent, but also for the role of the kids, because it's also overwhelming when you all of a sudden live in a house and there's a new woman that belongs to
this
daddy.
Is now your new stepmom.
Yeah.
Take it, because they're not getting asked, aren't they? They also just have to take things as you have to take the kids. They also have to take you. So it's actually both way around.
Yep.
And we also suggest you guys to really, if it's getting complicated, don't hesitate to get support.
No,
so just
reach
don't.
out.
Just
we have had help for this specific thing as well. And we are both coaches, relationship coaches, but we needed a third person because we really had blind spots and we really could not get out of it together. And this woman that helped us really was a great support.
It was amazing.
Yep.
It really was amazing. So Julia is saying that she would take it personally. She's actually
would not take.
She's replying to Willie now. I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, it is the struggle. Everybody everybody has their own struggles in this whole process, and it's because it's so much bigger. I mean, like the kids are also with their other parent, and maybe this parent is still sad about the breakup. They pick that up, or they're angry. They pick that up. So it's just one big system that is like so entangled. And this is where the struggle lies. But also, again, it's not only a struggle. Of course, it doesn't. I mean, it's just life, right? Life is mostly not just smooth and easy and like a bit of glitter here, a little bit of glitter there. And if you're embarking on a journey, it also is the best self-development course you could ever get on, because you will get to know yourself and your boundaries better than in any other situation. Yeah. Trust me. I've done a lot in my life, but this whole stepmom, blended family kind of journey is really it was the hardest one. I will admit it openly, because there are so many like opposite feelings constantly in the game, like this, but also this, and this, and also this. But it's also so enriching, and I have the feeling I grew in the speed of light, and I really see now after these 2 years, because I was very clear that this is going to happen and we're going to make that through it. This was not a question, because I really believed in us very deeply. And I see like the beauty of it now.
Yeah.
Also, like what we're creating together as this new family, because actually blended family is the wrong term, because you're never going to blend. No. It's not about blending.
You're not becoming one mesh.
No.
It's more like, I think they call it a crock pot. It's like this pan where you can put in different kind of ingredients, and they cook together, and they become this sort of ratatouille.
This beautiful meal.
This meal. And then like the paprika still is the paprika, and the carrot still is the carrot, but then still they are together in a new system of the meal, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, how beautiful, talking about food.
And one last tip I want to give is make sure, if it's not that bad that you would need like professional help from outside, make sure that you also have a person who doesn't belong to the system, where you can criticize, where you can scream, where you can deflate, where you can share your anger and your sadness. Because if you put this all on the shoulders of your new partner, this becomes too much, because he or she also has their own struggle and their own problem to create a healthy, stable new system, actually. So really make sure that you have somebody outside that can help you.
This is a very big point, because, for example, when we talked about the ex-partner that will be in the picture, if there should be, out of some reason, and there is a lot of potential triggers there, if you get angry with that person or there's something, and just don't discuss it with your partner, because he or she is really the wrong person to discuss it, because they used to love this person. Maybe they're angry with them as well. It can totally be, but really try to keep it as neutral as possible, and take that anger, not keep it within yourself, but really take it to another place where you can really rant and rave about that person, and also know that in the end, everybody is just trying to do their best in it, because that's what is happening. Everybody's trying to just deal with the triggers that are coming along the way.
Yeah.
But not to put that on your partner's shoulders, because it's just not fair.
Yeah.
Because you're putting them in a very awkward situation where they have to take a side or pick a side, which they should not have to.
Yep. And next to this, communicate, communicate, communicate.
Yeah.
Like every evening, if you would have the kids and they are in bed, really look into, okay, what happened today? Where did you felt not seen? Where did you feel alone? How could I support you better? What did I see? Where did I lack? Because this really builds up how you interact with each other as a new family.
Yeah, yeah, this is crucial.
Yep.
So if there are no more questions, we already talked for over half an hour. I thought this was going to be a short one. No, but it's really a big topic.
Yeah.
It's so multi-layered, and it's also because there's no cutter. How do you say that?
Cookie cutter.
There's no cookie cutter method that you can just say, okay, it's always like that or it's always like this, because every person is different, every situation is different. And okay, last question. Shoot ahead.
Willie.
Shoot ahead.
Give it to me, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, she's typing. She's typing.
Yeah. And you can also, by the way, still ask later, because you can also.
Do you want to kid with us for yourself? We can share the link underneath this post with to the video we recorded about exactly this topic.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to go into that now, because everything that we thought and wanted and went through is all in this video. So we are going to post it underneath this or in the caption of this video.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here.
Yep.
And thank you so much for asking questions. That's amazing. We love to answer questions.
Absolutely.
So shoot ahead with questions, because we're here to serve you and support you on your journey. And yeah, have a wonderful day, and let us know, yeah, where are you at in your journey right now.
Yep.
Mwah. So much love.
Bye-bye.
Bye.